Hello and welcome back to the Insurance Guru. My name is Ayanda Malele and thank you so much for tuning in once again as we talk about my favorite subject, insurance. Now today I've got a very important special guest, Stephen Isaacs, who I just recently met, and I thought he could teach us probably a lot more about the insurance sector as a whole, because we all know little bits of information based on where you're working, whether you're in long-term, short-term, or a direct insurer or a broker. But this time around, he's going to help us understand the concept of a UMA. Firstly, hello, Stephen. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you, Ayanda, and thanks for having me. Looking forward to your chat.
I've always heard the concept of a UMA. Can you explain what it is? For my understanding, I think, is it a brokerage or is it something completely different?
So Ayanda, UMA, that's just the abbreviation. We refer to it as an Underwriting Management Agency. And as an Underwriting Management Agency, we basically operate from the insurer license. And there are two aspects to being a UMA. One, you can either operate as a self-captive owner, and as a self-captive owner, we are basically adherence to the same rules and regulations as a normal insurer. A self-captive owner basically means that you operate as a mini insurance company, which I'm currently operating as a self-captive owner, and that means I have to acquire my own treaty reinsurance program. As the current insurer that's backing me or from which operating license I'm making use of, they don't take any risk. So it's important then that I, from my own perspective, obtain my own treaty reinsurance program and all the business that we generate. So we're not a brokerage per se, we're a mini insurance company, but all our business is being generated from brokers. So with the treaty reinsurance program, we then get set limits as agreed with the insurer and with the reinsurers, and that will allow us then to accept risks up to those mandates. On the other hand, you also then get your normal stock standard UMA, which does not operate as a self-captive insurer, but operates from the existing insurance company based on their rules, their treaty programs, and the limits that you are allowed to underwrite. So in a nutshell, that is the difference between a broker and a UMA.
And what is the name of your FSP currently?
The name of my FSP or company is called Insurazo Risk Partners, and our whole vision about that, Ayanda, is to be a one-stop solution. You know, a lot of the brokers are faced with opportunities that they don't necessarily have access to the larger corporate companies. We try and fulfill that and say that even though Insurazo Risk Partners cannot do that physically themselves, they will go out of their way to try and assist you to make it easier for you. And that is sort of our role that we play at the moment.
So you've discussed with me a self-captive as opposed to just a straight underwriting management agency. With regards to, just to understand a bit further, does that mean that there is sort of an underwriter that you deal with, but then the way, you know, an insurance company will say they're underwritten by Centric or underwritten by Yard, but then they still operate. Is it something similar to that or something completely different?
It's exactly the way that you've summed up, Ayanda, exactly the nature of how we operate. And if I use the two examples, the two companies that you've mentioned, is and especially with Yard Insurance. Yard Insurance doesn't operate or doesn't accept any risk. So all they do is they say, Stephen, we allow you to make use of our operating license, but you have to then come up with your own underwriting guidelines, with your own claim guidelines. You have to provide capital. So in other words, we're saying that you are now actually becoming a mini insurance company, but based on your own underwriting criteria.
As a normal person in insurance who's worked a long time and wants to then go into this and say, I want to also start my own UMA, is it as easy as that, or what are the challenges?
Sure, Ayanda. I wish we've got the whole day to sit here and give you all the challenges. No, it's not that easy. A lot of the brokers, independent brokers in particular, has got this idea that they want to start their own UMA. But depending as to which route you select, and bearing in mind that the industry at the moment, Ayanda, it is so risk averse at the moment. There are so many rules and regulations that's coming through, and it's every day there's something new. So from what I hear from the market is that insurance companies are actually looking to reduce their limitation on UMAs and so on. So it's not that easy. And depending as to which route you do select, if you want to go sell captive route, make sure that you've got capital. So that could be a hindrance for you. And then secondly is that when you want to go to this standard UMA, how confident are you that you'll be able to generate a business from the broker market? How confident are you that the current insurer that you envisage talking to, whether they'll have the appetite for the type of risks that you want to underwrite? So there are many factors for you to consider before embarking on a road to become a UMA.
Would you say that it's best to start from being a broker and having a sort of a book before you can then say, let me start my own UMA? Or is it better to start from scratch and then build your own book?
I would say, depending as to what it is that you want to achieve, perhaps the broker route would be a better option for you to start basing up or you're building up your own clientele, decide what type of risks that you want to get involved in. So for me, I would personally, if I have to give any broker advice, that once you become a UMA, try and establish your own broker base. And from there, to start reaching out to other brokers, etc. And maybe even before going the UMA route, decide maybe if you want to be an administrator, which allows you to underwrite for more than one insurance company, or if your focus is going to be with the UMA. Bearing in mind that UMA the laws only allow you to, once you're a UMA, you can only underwrite for one insurance company.
I've also heard of a concept called white labeling. So is that something that's big in the UMA space from a self-captive or just a normal UMA?
So, Ayanda, it doesn't matter whether you then operate as a self-captive or a standard UMA. And white labeling is very prevalent with the broker markets. In other words, the broker market will come to you and say, Stephen, I've got an opportunity in medical malpractice. I've got the wording, I've got the inside and outside exactly how they operate, but I want my product to be unique to my brokerage only, and I would like to have that white label. And I'll be the only broker that will be allowed through your UMA to sell that to the public and so on. And it does mean, Ayanda, that any other broker wanting to sell that particular product will have to engage with the existing broker. And that, in a nutshell, is what we refer to as white labeling, unique to that particular broker only.
UMAs are you're starting your own insurance company, literally, whereas in a white label is in somebody saying, here's my strength, I want to sell this particular product.
100% correct.
I also want to understand even just a little bit more in terms of, I'm not sure if I've asked this question, but is then a standard UMA more similar to a brokerage, or are they still different?
In fact, that's a very good question that you're asking. And no, there is no difference. The only difference would be with a broker underwriting on behalf of a particular insurance company, and a UMA underwriting on behalf of the same insurance company. The difference is that the UMA perhaps will have a bigger, if I can call it, slice of the pie as far as business is concerned. They may be dealing with more than one particular broker, where the broker in itself will only base, and they work directly with clients, the man in the street and so on, and they will build their own little portfolio. But as a UMA underwriting for the same company, it simply means that they're getting the business from multiple and different brokers where they build up their premium growth and so on.
So from my understanding on what you've explained, a standard UMA can then lease, or not lease, but sell their product to multiple brokers as well.
100% correct, yeah.
Stephen Isaacs, everyone, thank you so much for coming and having a chat with us. I hope that you've learned something. And if you do have questions, I'm going to post all the details down below on this description. I'm also going to give a link to his LinkedIn if you want to just send him a message, find out more. If they bamboozle you, I'm really sorry. But yes, thank you so much for just sharing your knowledge with us. And I hope we'll chat again, maybe at your offices one day, and then you can just run us through even more.
Thank you, Ayanda, for having me. But yeah, thank you for the chat, and thank you to the ISA for affording me the opportunity to sit here today and share some of my knowledge with you.
Thank you so much. If you like the video, please just click like, subscribe to the channel, leave all your questions and comments below, and we'll see you in the next video.